Hello and welcome to the third round of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in 2023. Today at what used to be one of the slowest combinations in LFS, the UF1 at Aston Cadet. Slow, but technical. I'm Peter Butcher, you're watching Sim Broadcast on Twitch or YouTube, and in the commentary box with me tonight, it's Eoin Harmon and Miika Sarkinen. Boys, welcome along. Eoin, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Pete. Appreciate you asking. Had a nice Patrick's Day weekend, in case anyone was curious. How about you?
Yeah, all good. Miika, ready for this one?
Yeah, already.
Absolutely great stuff. This is a very, very technical combination. It might seem like a pretty trivial one, but it is pretty difficult. You have to drive the F1 extremely smoothly in order to extract the best lap times around AS1. The 1.9 kilometer, 1.1 mile circuit incorporates the Eau Rouge or corkscrew style downhill section that we all love. And it has a few technical corners as well, 2 tricky hairpins and this long run up to turn number 1. We're going to be doing 68 laps around the circuit today. All of the drivers need to make a mandatory 10-second pit stop, and the race distance is a whopping 127 kilometers for the F1. So, the drivers are going to be doing a lot of work in what is, it is a simple car, but it is very technical to drive quickly. And a few of the drivers are finding that out the hard way. The spread of times is probably not what you're going to expect in qualifying. We are round number 3 of the 2023 season. That means we are a quarter of... there we are. We're round 3. We'll be a quarter of the way through the series after today as we run towards December 12th for round 12. Still plenty of action to go in 2023. Let's take a look at the car. The famous UF1, the 1-litre inline-4 front-engine, front-wheel drive car. It has 55 brake horsepower and weighs 600 kilograms. So not powerful, not heavy, but it's a lot of fun to drive. And a lot of the drivers are finding that out today, and they're going to enjoy this a lot when we're going to have pack racing around this track. All right, I think that's enough said. Let's go and have a look at the qualifying session. We have 5 minutes remaining in this one. And let's see who's currently topping the timesheets. I think it is Sidus Gabor.
That's correct, Pete. Yeah, Sidus have the 1-2 according to my screen, but it's possible that Ricardo's time has been possibly deducted a bit or something like that. So yeah, it is very close. Yeah, near enough a 3-way tie for second place. So yeah, it could require a bit of double checking for Rony to do, because it is minuscule how close it is between them. And just outside that range, we've Rick 98 and Pickard all within that time of 1 minute 7.1. Then Twin Cam, Arska, Alpha QV, Koivunen and Soini and Reject all in the top 10. So yeah, a lot to still be extracted from the car.
Yeah, a few old names returning. We've got Jonathan Pickard, Alpha QV, as you mentioned. Guise here as well. So a few drivers we saw a little bit through the 2022 season returning to the 2023, which is nice. For the longer format, of course, of the RTFR series in LFS. We're watching Dodislot. He's about to head down the downhill corkscrew here. Tricky left into a right. Not so tricky on your own when you're doing a hot lap, Miika, but when they're pack racing down there, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, it's always quite a challenge when you go side to side on that corner. You have to compromise your line and hope for the best outcome.
Indeed, many a race has happened at AS1 and other combinations in the opposite direction, going up Eau Rouge, but coming down as we do at Laguna Seca in this corkscrew style corner. It's very, very difficult. It's very different. We're going to see cars off on the gravel and the grass on either side of the track, I'm sure, as we head through the session. So who else have we got out there? We've got Rick 98 coming to the end of a lap here. It takes a couple of laps to get the tyres up to temperature to be able to put down an optimal lap time. No improvement there on that run for Rick 98. Here's Ian Donny. He's outside the top 10 at the moment, P11. He's looking to improve his starting grid slot. He's got 3.5 minutes to go when he crosses start-finish. No improvement there. It is definitely possible to improve your lap time on a race run in the UF1 as the fuel burns off and the tyres get into a nice operating window, Owen. drivers can set fast times pretty late in a qualifying session, especially one that's an hour long.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to rip up these tires anytime soon, so you may as well do the 2-for-1 deal, get race pace practice in, and as the fuel disappears, then you'll be able to set a competitive lap time. And the fact that traffic, it shouldn't really be a problem at these speeds unless someone has slowed down or spun in the middle of the track. That's all I can really imagine could distract the drivers. So yeah, it should mean a totally different experience compared to what we saw in last month's RT4XL.
Yeah, for sure. Very different combination. But yeah, we're watching Donny completing another lap here. He's got another car behind him who will be getting not too much of an advantage, actually. It looks a bit distorted from that camera angle. The top 21 are currently separated by 1 second. So this is going to be a super, super close qualifying session. Okay, the lap times are pretty small, only a minute and change around here, but still a nice spread of lap times as Donny yet again on that attempt not improving. Martin Cabal, here he is. Savage Sim Sports is out there. He's at the final corner, trying to stop in RTFR, of course. And look, they've added tire stacks at the entrance to the pit lane, Owen. So that's going to make things interesting. I think he might have. Oh, he's not overshot his pit box. He's oh no, he has. He's reversing into it. I think he. Oh well, that's a shame.
Yeah, frustrating, definitely. But I've seen that Jonathan Pickard has broken the tie and has outright second place. So that brings the timing tower in line to what I see in game. So yeah, Pickard breaking the Sidus double. And that should give Rick a G up with the last minute remaining to get involved and see if he can possibly get anywhere near Gabor's time, the only one in the 1 minute sixes.
Yeah, Gabor must have done an absolutely amazingly smooth lap in order to pull 1.5 tenths over everybody else. He's coming up to the line now. His best lap is a 106.93. He's the only driver in the 106s at the moment. Let's see if he can improve on this run. No improvement, but it's impossible really to improve on that time. He's probably set it on a 1 in a million lap earlier in the session, and for anyone else to get close to that is going to be tough call in the 27 seconds we've now got remaining. Anyone who's in the second sector will be able to finish and start another lap probably, but anyone after just before Eau Rouge probably isn't going to have any luck this time. Here's Rundle 32, a new driver, currently in P30, working his way towards the back of the course as the clock hits 0. And drivers will be allowed to finish their lap but not start another one. Let's see if Gabor can improve on his final attempt.
Yeah, just entering the final corner now. He's
doesn't look like it.
So he has failed to complete that lap. Rick gets a 1 minute 7.47 to conclude his session. That's nowhere near beating his personal best of the hour. So yeah, it shall be Rick on the second row, unless Twin Cam or anyone beneath can pull out a stonking final lap. But yeah, Gabor is 99% of the way onto pole position, guys.
Yeah, not many movers at the end of this qualifying session, a contrast to the last few rounds that we've had, where drivers have set their best times very late. There was an improvement for someone there. I didn't quite catch the name, but there we go. Across the line are coming to the final few cars before we conclude the qualifying session for round 3 of RTFR XL in 2023.
If you just saw there, Pickard was in the white car about 15 seconds ago. He took a very tight turn onto the runoff to try and reduce the amount of track he needed to use, but it didn't bring him a better time. It was close, but not enough. So yeah, pardon the interruption.
That's okay. I think that's everybody, so we can get a rundown of the final qualifying order for round number 3. On pole position, it will be Sidus Gabor ahead of Jonathan Pickard for Mercury Racing. Then it's Sidus' Rick Cardle in P3, Rick 98 for Road Appraiser in P4, Born to Race Twin Cam P5, World Class Lions Oscar and Soini in 6th and 7th. Then it's Alpha QV, Pekka Koivunen, and Reject rounding out the top 10. Row 6 will be Donny and Rony. Row 7 will be Gui and Lucas. Then we've got 136 miles per hour, Nozzle, Dodislav, Martin Kapal, Oil Burner, and Thamuli.
And we have the remaining 10 drivers from 21st down. It's Nex, Game, Yarktila, M. Bezus, Buzzer, Lorenzo, Hermani, Unnamed, Beto, SVK, and Rundle 332. So yeah, everyone made 107%. So well done there. We should be ready to go with that 30 car entry.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anyone who has to sit this one out. Everyone who qualified will be able to race. Miika, we're going to have 30 cars going around turn 1. And I know that, this car is pretty small and Aston is pretty wide. So we could expect maybe 3 wides going into turn 1, 4 wides potentially. It is possible. It's happened before.
Yeah, I could almost bet we can get at least 1 4 wide here. I bet we're going to see a lot of mayhem in the first lap.
Well, it's pretty certain that that's going to happen. Before we go for a very short break, let's have a look at the championship standings as they currently are. There is only a Drivers' Championship standing in Rony's Tuesday Fun Race XL, and it's currently Rick Cardle leading the way for Sidus, with Fatal in P2. Fatal not here this evening, not getting on too well with the UF1 in this combo, I hear, so he probably won't be setting any... gaining any points, so he will probably drop down the order. Then it's ZFRL Thamuli, he's in P3. Gabor currently in P4, looking to try and get back into the top of the ranking after this round. He's got a great time in qualifying. Let's see if that translates into the race. Antti Valter, after a strong start to the season, finds himself in P5. Then it's Rony, Ona, Michael Malek, Jari Katila, and Pekka Koivunen. We'll let the rest of this list scroll by. We currently have, I think we have 30 drivers, 29 drivers who have scored at least 1 point in the season so far. And, well, I'm almost certain that list is going to grow considerably tonight. We've got a lot of new drivers joining the season, so expect to see a few more names in the championship standings next week, Owen.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that this car is obviously one of the least powerful in the entire LFS garage, I suppose. It means that the ability to carry on should entice most drivers to score a classification, even if that means 1 point. That's still pretty respectable. So yeah, I have confidence that only a barrel roll landing onto your roof or side will see drivers eliminated.
Absolutely. We'll go for a short break. We'll be back in a few moments' time for the start of 68 laps around AS1 with the UF1. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to coverage of round 3 of the 2023 season of Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large in Live for Speed. We have a grid of cars, gents, so let's go for the start. Owen, take it away.
Yeah, it is the grid that we're looking forward to seeing. Should be the 30 entrants. Hopefully everyone has turned up after voting to restart. We have the lights on and the green their way. It's going to be a pedestrian start by most standards, but Gabor should have the lead. Heading into the first corner, Pickard has to follow. Rick is going to block Rick 98, Ricardo that is. Twin cam on the inside blocking from Arska, so it's a very clean start out of the first corner. Can they keep it going into the second? Yeah, 1 or 2 cars there in the background wide. Arska is now attacking Twin cam, so they could be getting feisty.
Yeah, we got cars side by side, Miika.
Away.
Yeah, Arskas actually made it past Twinken, or did he start before him? Anyway, he's in lead of those two now. Twinken is on this 6th position right now. As we come down to corkscrew, and it seems to be very clean so far from everyone. Gabor having a very good lead in the last corner as we run up on the first lap. And we got car going wide. That was Rick 98. He lost all the speed for the straight. Let's open up a gap for Arska to go side by side. So let's some overtaking taking place behind as well. Koivunen making place up to the 7th place.
Yeah, and Arska and Rick 98 side by side through turn 1. Arska with the advantage into P4 now then. Meanwhile, it's Rony in a bit of a sandwich. He's in between Lucas and Gui. Lucas ahead of him and Gui behind. But it is Gabor who's had a dream start and has opened up a small gap to Jonathan Pickard, who has a bit of trouble in his midst. He's got Rick Cardle trying to find a way past somewhere. Will he find that way past down into the bottom of the corkscrew? We'll have to see. It doesn't look like he can squeeze through there.
No, but some drivers have taken their mandatory pit stop immediately. 136 miles per hour, Kapal and Soini. They must feel they have the necessary fuel to make it to the finish now. Here's Rick having a look at Pickard. Getting as close to the runoff as possible. Now Rick will pull to the outside before the tight first corner. Then that'll give him the inside to turn 2. But now he hasn't got alongside still. Maybe the switchback will pay off. Again, yeah, Pickard has placed the car where it needs to be. And then there'll be another chicane coming up. And there's nearly contact. Rick will have to shimmy to the curbs, and he is now officially into 2nd place. Pickard, though, will not, he will not concede easily. He'll follow Rick as closely as he can.
Yeah, he will indeed. Awesome stuff. It's great to see, the battles that you can have at such slow speeds in LFS. It's nice. We do like the pack racing. There is one issue with the UF1, of course, and that is front to rear contact, as Jonathan Pickard and Rick Cardle find out. Jonathan there being a little bit cheeky and suffering as a result. You don't want to have front to rear contact in the UF1 like that.
He tried to go for some bump drafting there, I guess, but
Doesn't
that
work.
backfired for him because, the hitbox isn't all that good, so it slowed them both down a little bit.
Jarek
So he
Attilas had
paid
an
the
issue.
price.
Yeah, Jarek Attilas had an issue out of the final corner. He's really slow for some reason and decides then to bail into the pits to take his mandatory stop. Unfortunate there from him. But yeah, Pickard wanted to push Rick Cardle along, and it just doesn't work in the UF1. It's one of those things. Bump drafting is not a thing in the UF1. So not sure quite what he was trying to do there, but he's down to P4 now. He's got Twin Cam just behind, who will himself be looking for a bit of a gain. But that has allowed a 2.5 second gap to emerge between Gabor and Rick Cardle. So playing well into the front runners' hands. Meanwhile, we have an inter-team battle. Pekka Koivunen and Arska now together, coming out of the final corner. Twin runs wide there. That's going to slow him down. And he's probably going to be a sitting duck, is he, from the cars behind? Well, the world-class Lions cars are going side by side. Pekka Koivunen is through and might be able to have a shout at Twin Cam. Twin Cam goes defensive. Meanwhile, Reject is also trying to get involved. He's on the inside. He's gonna get Asker here. Yep, he's through initially. But Asker has the overspeed and will take the inside for hairpin 2. So Twin Cam. Oh, there's further contact there.
Asker just placed his car in the middle of the apex and Reject tried to follow, but Asker slided a little bit, which slowed him down and initially caused contact between him and Reject. But nothing super hard going on there. Meanwhile, we have Rony. He's following Reject at the moment, trying to look at this battle and see if he can stick his nose into the battle as well. Reject has got a good go between, next to the Arca, and they're going side to side to the first corner here. Reject outside, but so much further away in the front. He can make it stick from the outside. Does he get the speed out the corner? Yeah, he does, and he's through to the second corner here.
Yeah, up to try and catch up to the back of his teammate. He's got Pekka Koivunen to get through, who's having his own fight then with Twin Cam. He's on the inside just before turn 4. And, well, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Through initially. Twin Cam will be able to try and get the switch back. He'll be on the inside for the downhill chicane. And they're going to have side-by-side contact. That pushes Pekka wide and slows him down a lot. And now he's under threat from Reject immediately into the final corner. He's a bit unsettled. He's going to go wide as well, so Reject might have a good run here. They've got to be careful behind, because now we are going to have that 3-wide situation we talked about. Potentially 4-wide if Donny wants to go to the inside or outside. No, they're in diamond formation across start-finish. Brilliant. Well, who's going to come out best here? It looks like Reject might be best placed in that blue and black Born to Race car, but Asker hangs it around the outside, makes contact, and in the end, it's Pekka Koivunen who benefits from all of that, and Donny moves up 2 places. Locks the rear right wheel. Nice to see the small lock up there. The physics working well.
That looked a little scary towards the first corner, but almost clean out of there. Good intense battle going on. We still got cars going side to side just behind them. That will be Lucas and Arsk going on as we close up to the corkscrew. This hard corner go side by side, but they managed to get through it quite clean. Arsk getting ahead, but don't know how it's gonna play for him on the pit straight here, as Nozzle is making contact from behind as well.
Yeah, well, that was because Asker's exit was compromised by running quite wide. Nozzle had nowhere to go. He had Lucas on his inside. Now Lucas is drawing alongside. They both need to be careful because Gui is right behind them. Sorry, Alpha QV is right behind them. Nozzle to the inside and loses the car slightly. You can see the driver frantically inside trying to catch control. And Asker will still have the lead in this little battle. But yeah, we've got a 4-car fight emerging here. Asker runs a bit deep, again locking up the rears. And that's going to allow Nozzle another chance. Now, Gui is on the back of Alpha QV in the background, and he's going to go around the outside, is he, before turn 4? That would be opportunistic. Nope, they're going to go into it side by side. Be careful, boys. But no, they're fine.
Well held there by Alpha QV. He almost had the outside line going in there, but QV just kept his line in the inside of the corner and managed to get. Oh no, there's contact between him and Lucas.
Yeah, big lunge.
Last corner, I mean.
Big lunge, and that's going to bring Dodislav back into this as well. I thought he was out as Alpha QV dives to the pit lane. Dodislav's going to be on the back of Gui now, on the run down to turn number 1. And Gui tentatively flinches and thinks, oh, I might defend, but doesn't need to in the end. Meanwhile, out front, Gabor has a 3.1 second lead over his teammate Rick Cardle, who has his other Rick friend behind him, Rick 98 for Road Appraiser. Only 2/10 behind. Well, insignificant amount of time really. They're basically nose to tail as we enter the chicane, the downhill corkscrew. Rick 98 will have a bit of a slipstream. He'll be able to decide what he wants to do. Rick's in the middle of the road. And no way through for him there. Will he fancy an attempt down into turn 1, I wonder? Meanwhile, it's all going off in the background. Donny and Pekka Koivunen still going at it. Rick 98 not quite close enough here for a move. Or is he thinking about it? No.
Rick 98 had much more speed closing down to the last corner after the corkscrew chicane. So he might want to try that again and try to have a slightly different line to the last corner and see if there will be a fast catch up. But he's fell back quite a bit there. Cardle has opened some gap as he goes wide. Just some saying Cardle's getting away, but he's went wide and he's lost the place to Rick 98. But can Rick 98 keep it up? Or will Cardle have another go for this?
Well, a rare mistake from Rick Cardle into the corner, well, into turn 4. Compromised his exit. You saw the tyre smoke briefly coming out of the front wheels of his UF1, and that's allowed Rick 98 for Road Appraiser to swing by. And as we start lap 11, Rick Cardle's charge towards the front is going to be thwarted because, the gap to Gabor is going to go up and up and up while they keep fighting. So, he has no one else to blame but himself for that one. He's going to be pretty upset that Rick 98's managed to get through. I love to see the rear right locking as the flex of the UF1 lifts its rear wheels. It's a very dynamic car, the UF1. It's, as I said in the pre-show again, it's very technical to drive. You have to be so smooth, as both of these drivers run it incredibly wide, using all of the track width there to carry as much momentum off down the hill. But it looks like Rick 98 has the better of Rick Cardle at the moment.
Yeah, I'm looking at a battle between Lucas and Reject myself now that I'm back. You can see they were getting very close side by side before the Eau Rouge style corner, or the corkscrew style corner in the layout that we're using. So there's a chance for Lucas to possibly be put down a position, but as a matter of fact he has held on, and Lucas might have a look at Nostel as well. So yeah, this is getting feisty in the midfield as well as the top 3 battle.
Yeah, it just turned from being hunted to being the hunter. He's on the outside of turn 1. It's not the ideal line. That's going to give the Born to Race driver a bit of a sniff. Yes, it is. Reject trying to find a way round. It's not going to work. Lucas is in a tricky position here. Every time he tries to attack, he's going to lose time and risk being overtaken himself. Has he given off enough space there? Surely Reject's not going to go for a send from there. No, he's not.
No, it's too difficult in the equal machinery. If you're going to do it, you have to make sure your opponent knows what you're planning in advance. It should be fascinating to see how these groups of drivers get on. Yeah, it seems like Gabor has the leadership pretty much in his hands at the moment, a near 4-second lead.
Reject moves to the outside across start finish. That's not going to be ideal, but is he going to try and switch back to the inside? No. Lucas covers the inside well, and he should have the measure of Reject into turn 1 if he gets it all right. Reject goes very deep, throws the car in there, but I'm not quite sure that's going to work. He has still got a nose on the inside for turn 2, and Lucas actually leaves the door open and allows him to go through. So a great move. But runs a bit wide again, and Lucas just able to hang on the inside for turn 4. All the while, Guy is closing in on the background. And yeah, this battle rages on. Reject is not giving up.
Oh, Reject wasn't
Oh, that was a
looking.
slap.
Yeah,
That was a
Gui's put
slap.
into the wall.
Yeah, I don't know if he didn't even see him or whether he was just thinking, no chance, son, you're not coming through there. Slams the door shut and sends Guy into the barrier, and that promotes Dodislav up a position.
Oh, that must hurt Guy. Just as he got him up,
Yeah,
he gets sent in the wall.
that's harsh.
Well, he's deciding to probably minimize the damage and get into the pit lane, so he can then go the rest of the way after serving the mandatory pit stop. Yeah, you will be almost certainly at risk of being put into the very bottom of the grid and maybe being lapped by Gabor. Yeah, I expect the leaders will just keep going and going for as long as possible.
Let's see how smooth Gabor is around a lap of AS1 as he approaches the final corner. This is a technical corner, this. It's on camber in the middle, but off camber everywhere else. You have to send the car straight into that dip, carry enough momentum that you don't drop any wheels on the grass on the outside of that AstroTurf curb. And as he comes over start-finish, he takes a very, very tight line. And now he's going to open up turn one. He's going to go as wide as possible. He's going to use all the curb on the right-hand side, braking down onto that curb. It can unsettle the car quite a lot, but you have to be super smooth. You don't want to lock any of the wheels. You don't want to get any slide. You want the car to drive itself through that corner. A lot of the drivers aren't doing that. And the same into turn two. The car doesn't want to step out of the rear. Turn three, very easy to get that wrong. If you drop a wheel slightly, it will slow you down and pull the car offline. The next two corners, again, very, very technical. Use the curb on the right-hand side to pitch the car in. Run as wide as you dare over this white line, but no further, otherwise you're going to get pulled into the grass. Use all the AstroTurf. Sight your apex for the first one. Don't touch the grass again. Don't touch the grass again there. And now it's just the final corner, aiming for the big dip in the middle of the apex. Again, no grass. Pitch the car in. No need for Gabor to do any sort of counter steer. Perfectly smooth. And a pretty perfect lap of AS1.
Could that be contender for the fastest lap? We'll have a gander and see if he breaks 1 minute 6. No, it's a 1 minute 7.4. About 4/10 off his best in this race session. But Rick 98, in fairness to him, has gone quicker that lap. So yeah, it goes to show you that even if a beautiful lap like that can be beaten, this is a very, very high standard race.
Yeah, you can gain a lot and you can lose a lot in a very short amount of time in the UF1. It is a super technical car. Yeah, Rick Cardle is not having a great race for himself. I want to say he's being caught slightly by Jonathan Pickard as well. Rick 98 has been allowed to run away a little bit. We don't know what the fuel loads are on the cars at the front actually, because of course the drivers, some of them may elect to refuel in their 10-second pit stop. So we'll have to wait and see. You can put quite a lot of fuel in the UF1 in 10 seconds. So we'll see what happens there. Fuel won't make a massive amount of difference. The car is quite heavy compared to the amount of power it's got, so it won't make too much difference, but it will make a difference. Every little helps.
Yeah, that is a tried and tested sort of slogan to keep in mind. So yeah, it's really these top 4 guys that are keeping Gabor honest here. That's what's interesting me. But in fairness, Donny is giving Koivunen a test here to see if P6 can change hands. These two are inseparable at the moment. Koivunen is putting the car in the ideal place for his defending. Anything that Koivunen does, Donny is mirroring it as closely as possible. There you go, you can see he's gone a bit wider before the AstroTurf. Then Koivunen checks out and goes more onto it. So this is a fabulous competing between these two.
Oh, Donny's going to go for it, is he? Yes, he is. He goes for a big send into the final corner. That could compromise his exit. Pekka Koivunen will be able to have a run on the inside. The margins are so fine in the UF1. And this is a long straight compared to in comparison to how fast the car is. So they're going to be alongside each other. This could go on for the best part of a lap now, because if you're side by side into turn 1, the likelihood is you're going to be side by side into turn 4 again. Donny goes deep. That's going to compromise his exit from the corner over Koivunen, but actually he's managed to hold quite a lot of momentum, and yeah, he's clear of Koivunen. That was a good move around the outside.
Yeah, outstanding. Well done to Donny there. But we'll see if he is now willing to give up any room to Koivunen, with Koivunen bumper to bumper here. So yeah, that potential will certainly be there. We'll see if Koivunen plays the Uno reverse card after the corkscrew. Here we go. Gives him a bump.
He's mistimed it.
Mistimed, I'm afraid.
That was good driving from Donny on the second corner. Last lap he closed. He went deep, but not too deep, so he kept as little space as possible for Koivunen. So Koivunen had to do so much tighter turn, so he couldn't get the momentum. But now Koivunen is again in the inside for the turn 1, and Donny will be just alongside him and will be able to keep some good momentum again from the outside line. As Koivunen will try and follow through this turn in the second corner, and yeah, Donny driving very well, just keeping Koivunen behind.
They are slowing each other down quite a lot, but yeah, it's quite fun to watch for sure. Oh, Donny's gone very wide. Oh, just about hangs on. I thought he was gone. I thought he was a goner. I thought he was going to be in the wall, but just at the absolute limit. Oh, he did touch the grass there. You don't want to do that. It slows you down a lot. Koivunen's still not close enough, though, to affect a pass. Donny's going to go a bit deep. Pekka Koivunen's going to have another run, and they are slowing each other down so much here that you can now see in the background that Asker is back in play. Great stuff for the viewers, but not so good for these pair, because Asker is going to see this and think, keep going, keep battling. I want that time back.
Yeah, it's like the game of pool. If you get off to a brilliant start, potting most of your balls, and then you find your opponent has only probably scored 1, then you find all sorts of obstacles in the way, and it does level the playing field a lot. So losing all those tenths are offered up very generously to Arska now, who will be excited to, hopefully, for his point of view, be within touching distance of these two in the next 3 laps or so. It could be very, very fine margins for the moment. And Nossel is 9th, so I wouldn't discount Nossel either. Just there you go on the green car, all on his own for now. And then Lucas and Reject have been very close all race long. So yeah, it could be a chance for Nossel to take advantage as well, guys.
When the race is, in its quieter periods, that's when the gaps between smoother drivers will either increase or reduce, and you end up with 2 cars who can't shake each other, and that's exactly what's happening here. Is yet again Pekka Koivunen tries to send one around the inside into turn 1. It's a good effort, but he's run a bit wide, and Donny is still going to be there. Is he? No, Pekka Koivunen's managed to do the move on the outside this time. But you can hear on stage left that there are a bunch of cars who want to get involved in this fight. That's Asker and Nozzle, who are waiting very patiently, driving a smooth race behind to catch up to these two. At some point they'll want to work together, but I don't see it happening somehow.
Yeah, there's no sign of non-aggression pact here for these guys. It's just going to be attack, and their eventual task would be to break clear, but they have let Twin Cam pretty much escape. He's constantly in the 1 minute 7s, and as a matter of fact, Donny decides to pit. So yeah, that puts my last statement completely out of date now.
Well, if he was going to do that, I would have done that a couple of laps ago when they started fighting. I feel like maybe he's just run out of patience with that battle and has decided that was the time to do the pit stop. But anyway, it's done now, so he can go on his merry way, and we'll see where Pekka Koivunen and Donny end up after everyone has made their stop. Donny's just coming out of pits now, and he's going to come out right next to. Oh no, he's going to come out just ahead of Bezos here. So he will have some clean air to play with. And let's keep an eye on who is currently leading the drivers who have made stops. It is Donny. So Donny is the lead car who has made a pit stop, and he's got a lot of space ahead of him. So if Donny can do some clean laps, then he will almost certainly get ahead of Pekka Koivunen, I think. Unless Pekka Koivunen uses his clean air to good effect as well.
Oh, there's trouble in the immediate background. Lorenzo into the wall out of turn 4, I believe. There was a contest between himself, 136, and Nex, but it went pear-shaped for Lorenzo. He's caught by Buzzer. Go ahead, Miika.
Yeah, there was Nex was having trouble in the corkscrew. There was a slight contact between him and I believe 136 miles per hour in the turn. And now we got the three-way scramble between Lorenzo, Buzzer, and Hemoli as they're on the main straight, closing down to turn 1.
Yeah, Thamuli's already served his pit stop, so he has a pace advantage over these guys. He's just working his way back through the field. Thamuli is third in the championship and doesn't want to be in P17 battling with these guys. He needs to be up at the front if he wants to extend or move up in the championship standings. And he's currently in a fight, quite a big fight with Nex. Actually, that's Lorenzo and Nex that he's fighting with there.
Yeah,
I got some inside info from the Hemoli before the race that he was struggling with the pace. He wasn't happy at all. He was a second off like Gabor's pace, and that wasn't satisfying him at all. But we'll see if he can climb some more positions here.
Well, this is a fun part of the track to be on. There's a lot of action going off in this small fight here from P17 downwards. As Thamuli does make a move up the inside of Lorenzo onto the home straight, and well, that's important for him as Gui has now made his pit stop and is trying to get past Buzzer. Buzzer's in the slipstream of Lorenzo, and it's going to be a 3 wide into turn 1. Here we go. Gui hasn't seen it. He didn't see it. Oh, goodness me.
Well, thank goodness Buzzer wasn't spun out of control. He was able to hang on, but Gui has made 2 positions, and Alpha has also given Buzzer a pretty much shock therapy there, getting on door to door. We'll see now if Kapal also makes an attack on this certainly cluster of cars now.
Yeah, Martin's having to get off of the power to stop himself from running into the back of the cars ahead of him. He knows how bad it is to push other cars around, especially other UF1s. As Buzzer gets it all wrong into the final corner, that's going to open up the corner for Martin, and he's through. He's up to P20 now.
So now I think it's 21st.
21st, yep.
Buzzer has seen the gap behind him and decides now's the right time to pit. So yeah, it seems like the drivers have to make a decision on the fly rather than what we saw previously, where they had strategies predetermined and they followed them to the letter for the most part. So this is entirely a completely different challenge for everybody today. Gabor has put a few cars down a lap, and he's going to catch up to 24th placed Game, and just ahead of him it's Jari Katila.
Yeah, interesting developments. I noticed that Gabor had gone through a couple of cars, lapped a couple of cars, in fact lapped 3 cars now, and Rick 98 and Rick Cardle are now doing the same as one of the back markers there. I think that was Timi Soini, gets well out of the way and lets them through nicely. Battle here for P13, 136 miles per hour, and Bezos.
Bezos has to be satisfied with the turn 1 outside line, but he may have gone for a dummy using all of the curb. 136 was alert to it though. And now the inside line for turn 2. 136 has it covered.
Yeah,
he's overshot it a little bit. Oh, that was risky.
wild driving styles from some of the cars further back. It's in contrast to the driving styles at the front. The smoothness ranking is basically what the timing tower is telling us at the moment. How smooth are you driving the F1 at the moment? That's your position in this race, pretty much.
Yeah, it is almost precisely that, Pete. Perhaps it is the case where some drivers have to give up the smoothness and just go for the offensive when there's an opponent nearby. But now we can see Nex is in trouble here with the Hamuli on the inside, and then Gui has a spot to pick. He's going to take the ZFRL driver's slipstream, so it's a 2v1 situation, and Nex now goes as outside as he can. Gui into the middle.
He's going a bit deep, trying to stick it from outside, but the Hammer can keep up the inside line. And he's actually not kept the speed as good as I thought, and he can actually make it through the third corner. But can he have to go on the fourth corner? Yes, he can. He's all the way through. But we'll see if we can have some more battle coming up from behind, as Nex is still just hanging on right behind them. The corkscrew is always a nice pace changer here, gives a good slant towards the last corner. And Nex is trying to do a move here, going for the slipstream, but no, he's not able to get a good exit.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a bit down on the exit, but Thamuli has the slipstream of Gui, and will he fancy going for a move into turn one? He's trying to force the move around the outside. Interesting. He's driven himself onto the grass to try and get a move around the outside on Gui there. It hasn't quite worked. Nex and Alpha QV in the background as well. Nex forced a bit wide, and Thamuli needs to try and smoothen his driving style a bit here. Oh, there's a massively late lunge from Nex there. Came from a long way back. Luckily, no contact, but Gui then has been given another opportunity to move forward and away from the chasing pack behind him.
Yeah, and Gabor has logged the new fastest lap, 1 minute 7.05. So he's almost within his original qualifying pace. And perhaps even better news is that incredible tussle that we were watching. It's quite a way away now, so Gabor has empty track, so he can push as hard as he wants now for the foreseeable future. But we'll look at Kapal, who's at the back of the line here. Through he goes on Lorenzo for that inside line, and Nex is going to be slow here, so Lorenzo could even catch him out.
Yeah, it's brilliant fun, but also very frustrating if you think you have pace in the F1 and you end up getting trapped in these battles. But if you're just in this for the fun, this is where you want to be. You want to be around cars that are a similar pace, because you can have a really great race, good fun battles. And Martin Kapal, well, he's in the sweet spot of that in its entirety, because he's got cars around him who are equally enjoying themselves and just settling into a rhythm and having a good time. As we've got a car ahead, that's Gui again, is giving up time by just driving off the track. That's going to give time to Thamuli to send one on the inside of the corkscrew, and Thamuli's back in the lead of this pack again. Unforced error by Gui there.
Yeah, it must have been Gui lifting off at the corkscrew. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it was a very, very courageous move for the Thamuli to get through. And then we have Alpha QV in the shiny silver UF1. Gabor will be catching these guys soon, but yeah, as I say, he can continue to lock down some incredible lap times, trouble-free. As a matter of fact, he does hit 1 minute 6.97. So yes, it is Gabor's time to shine. He's 4.7 seconds clear of the opposition. That is now stuck in traffic.
Oh, Owen, we've got two cars fighting here. We've got Game and Jari Katila fighting each other with the leaders trying to get through. Game's realised what's going on. I don't know if Jari has. Yari's still going for it. Oh, finally he realises. Has to break out of it as Rick98 and Rick Cardle just managed to squeak through. Goodness me. There's fights going on everywhere. And Yari has managed to end up ahead of game as the leaders, go through.
Yeah, there's Pickard, the white card just behind game now. So that's a relief for Pickard, who early on had the bad collision outcome. He's fighting his way back into play, so he's probably caught up to the traffic at the better time than Rick 98 and Rick Cardle. So that could give Pickard even more time back. Another very strong lap for Gabor, but it is 2/10 slower than his best that we saw.
We're going to watch the battle of the Ricks, because while Rick 98 was trying to get through on the back markers, Rick Cardle has been allowed to close up to the back of him, and at some point they might fancy holding each other up and giving us a bit of a spectacle here at the front as we approach halfway through the 68 laps of Aston Cadet in the UF 1000 in Need for Speed. Here comes turn 4. Which of these two drivers is getting turn 4 done better? Pretty even. So, slightly contrasting lines. Rick Cardle was a lot smoother on the entry than Rick 98 was, but Rick 98 able to carry enough momentum. Rick Cardle has the benefit of a small amount of slipstream at the moment. As Rick 98 goes wide, they're going to be, goodness me, narrowly avoid side-by-side contact, and it's going to be a drag race to turn 1.
Yeah, so Cardle probably not have expected to see Rick go wide, but he controlled his own slide very well. The chance to take second place, it's wide open. He has to shut the door behind him, and that looks to be a success to me, unless Rick 98 has a huge last-ditch lunge, but it's not going to be. 1-2 for Sidus.
Yeah, 1-2 for now. Rick 98 is charged up in this race, but he's allowed the other Sidus driver through, and it's going to be hard work to get back. There's action going off up and down the field at the moment. We've got Lucas and Nozzle having a big fight. Asker and Pekka Koivunen were close together a minute ago, but they've spread out. Asker leads Pekka Koivunen at the moment in 6th and 7th. But here is another fight. We've got Nozzle under attack from Lucas into turn 4. Lucas trying to find a way through.
Lucas seems to have much more pace here. As it's just a matter of time if he can make up a good overtaking spot here. He might go for lunch on the last corner. No, he still keeps it down behind Nozzle and trying to carry some momentum through the last corner for the drag race here to the main straight. And he's got a good slipstream, and he's going to dive inside. There's grass there. Why do you want to go there?
Oh my goodness, there was no gap there. Everyone knows that there's no gap there when the driver ahead of you is on the apron already. That was opportunistic, I'd say.
Yeah, to say the least, it was opportunistic. A bit brave, yeah, but he's not lost too much to that. He's still just behind Nozzle and still able to catch up and do another move.
Well, he's got dirt on his tyres, and it takes a couple of corners for the dirt to fully evacuate the treads of the tyres. Again, he drives onto the grass at turn 4. Having dirt and grass in your tyres slows you down in LFS quite considerably for a corner or so. So you don't want to have any of that on your tyres. And
Gabor pits. Sorry, Pete, to interrupt. Gabor is taken to the pits. So you didn't want to catch up to that big train of cars, and he uses his chance to pit, 10.48 seconds.
Well, this is important then. He has decided to pit at the halfway mark exactly on lap 34. And let's see if he comes out in clean air or in a fight. He's timed it perfectly, I think. He's come out just ahead of Asker and Pekka Koivunen.
Timu should now yield to his teammates. Yes, spot on. So this is probably Asker and Koivunen's only opportunity to give Gabor a bit of a kicking, but it may already be too late.
Yeah, well, Gabor comes out of the pit lane unsurprisingly well ahead of the next cars who have made pit stops. Iron Donny is still the best of the rest in that chart. Look down in P11. He is the next driver to have made his mandatory pit stop. Everyone else in the top 10 has not yet stopped, other than Gabor. So, yeah, plenty of time for this race to get interesting again. Speaking of interesting, look, we've got Pekka Koivunen and Asker back together. These two unshakable from one another.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any overstepping of the marks between these two as World Class Lions representatives. They'll keep working together, and with Timu behind them, he is racing for position with Oil Burner for 25th and what is second last. So yeah, that is a good position to be in if you're either Arska or Koivunen. So yeah, they just need to keep going, and that's Lucas coming out of the pits, and he'll be behind Reject.
He is indeed. He comes out in a B2R sandwich, and that's not where you want to be. You don't want to come out of the pit lane after your stop into another battle. You want to have clean air. It's impossible, really, to judge. You have to be very lucky sometimes to judge it on your own, especially in a sprint race. But unfortunately for Lucas, he's going to have some work on his hands if he wants to try and carve his way back through. There is clean air ahead of Reject, but in order to get there, you have to get past Reject. So let's see what he can manage. As I think Nozzle has gone for his pit stop as well. Yes, he has. A few more of the top 10 deciding now is the time to come and settle up the score in the pit lane. But out in the lead currently, it's Rick Cardle. How long will he wait before he comes into the pits with Rick 98 behind him? We will have to wait and see.
That's exactly, Pete. It feels like traffic could play into someone's mind here, as we saw with Gabor. He didn't feel like catching up to the giant queue, or else he was just following what he felt was the optimal strategy. Roughly halfway now. Just over halfway, I think. So, yeah, it could be a mixture of drivers just taking the impulsive decision to pit when it suits, or else they'll see that the race is going as expected and then taking the original time to pit that they had in mind. So yeah, we'll see if anything happens here. So Arska now lapping Nex. So yeah, Nex has to get out of the way of Koivunen as well, but he's not going to give in until the very last moment here. So this will be frustration for Koivunen after I previously thought World Class Lions were in a very good position.
Next yields there. There we go. Just interesting on that point. I mean, we went on board with Rick Cardle down the home straight, and there was no queue to be spoken of. So everybody else, I think that Gabor was catching up to, has gone in the pits and allowed Rick Cardle and Rick 98 some clean air. Now Gabor's got the fastest lap. He's got clear pace, but look at the mess he's got ahead of him now. He's got cars to get through. He's only got a couple at the moment, but all of this will play into the hands of the two Ricks up in the lead. They haven't got any traffic to deal with at all, so Gabor may lose some time here.
He still has the advantage. Like, he wouldn't lose all of his lead.
No, of course not. Yeah,
obviously not. But it could deliver the momentum towards Cardle or Rick 98 later on. Pickard's still a factor in the race, but it's a case of he's got to keep going and then figure out what happens next. So you can see the current leaders in his windshield. So Game is indicating to get out of the way. It's a really dangerous corner to do so. So now he can take the crest of the corner and move alongside. So he was indicating left. So Gabor knew he didn't have to barge him out of the way.
Someone who's been driving a very quiet race to this point is Jonathan Pickard from Mercury Racing. He is one step off the podium on aggregate, so when he pits, we expect him to come out behind Gabor. and obviously Rick Cardle and Rick 98. So they are only just up ahead. There is plenty of opportunity still for Pickard to capitalise on, especially if either of the cars ahead make a mistake on track or in the pit lane. A lot of drivers make mistakes in the pit lane in RTFR. It's not as easy to speed through the pit lane in the UF1 because it takes a lot more to get up to the speed limit in this car than in others. So naturally, there are generally fewer drive-through penalties being issued, especially with the track paraphernalia that's been added at pit entry with all those tyre stacks. No sign of either of these three coming into the pit lane, though, and no sign of any traffic ahead of them. So all eyes on Gabor, really.
Yeah, the battle from Bezos in 16th down to Alpha QV still very much raging on. So Rick is going to see those guys soon enough. So maybe that will come into his thinking. So we'll see now. Can Gui make the move? We'll see. So we'll see if Gui has taken an opening here to Bezos. No, Kapal breaks late. Thankfully missing any contact. Bezos now understeers. Gui had no time to react. Maybe a little bit of leeway could have been given there, but now he's paid the price for seemingly an instant out of his reach. Really, that was not his fault.
Yeah, desperately unlucky. If you're following another car closely out of there, if they make a mistake, you don't have anywhere to go. The car is not fast enough to be able to manoeuvre your way out of those situations effectively. That does promote Martin Capal and Lorenzo up a place to P17 and 18 respectively. But we know that Gui has the pace. He has the pace to be leading this train, but seems to be quite up and down at the moment.
Yeah, there's no definitive way for anyone to pull out of this contest as of right now. So we'll see if any further incidents cause trouble. We know how strong Kapal can be on his skill base. He's very, very good. Now you can see he's got a speed advantage over Bezos, and he is already 4 wheels ahead, and he's got to be mindful of Lorenzo. Lorenzo wants the inside line, and he's going to get it. Oh,
Bezos, he didn't check his mirrors before pulling out there, did he? He sends one up the inside of Kapal, but gives Lorenzo a bit of a slap. And look who's ready to pick up the pieces of that. It's Gui who moves to the inside. Kapal and Bezos side by side as well through turn 3. And Bezos is back in the lead after all that. That's remarkable.
Yeah, thank goodness for him. He hasn't lost any time, and he's actually back to where he was beforehand. But Bezos, have to give credit there. He is hanging on to his 16th place with the most aplomb you could imagine in such a car like the UF1. So yeah, Lorenzo might be going for the move from deep. Gui's in the middle, so Kapal notices and stays high.
Yeah, Kapal will have the run on Lorenzo and a nice slipstream from Gui, but somehow Bezos has managed to check out after all of that drama into turn 1. Let's see how this pans out. Gui on the inside, he has defended that pretty well. Martin's going to have to go the long way round. They break pretty much at the same time. It's going to be stalemate through turn 1.
Still pretty much evenly matched. Gui has the position over the other two. Do we get a camera shot where Rick Cardle's in sight? He's going to be close very, very soon. He should be gaining a few tenths every lap on these guys. So, yeah, we can zoom out. There you go. That's exactly what I meant there. So, watch out for that. Foursome, they've got to be wary of blue flags very soon.
Yeah, our race leader is approaching the final corner with traffic, the queue that Gabor tried to avoid before, as we see Lorenzo peeling into the pit lane, and he will get out of the way of our race leaders, quite nicely there. Through the pit lane he goes, and I think he'll be quite glad to be out of that battle, to be honest.
Yeah, it looked like he was going full beans in that speed limit enforced pit lane. So yeah, that could be very interesting to see if he is going to be able to make that work for himself. Rick 98 now has the very interesting case of game, and even Lorenzo could be coming out of the pits very soon to cause another distraction. So yeah, there's Lorenzo behind Yargitilla, and he could lose position here. He's noticing blue flag, so game is going to get through.
Oh,
Lorenzo
almost coming into collision with Rick 98 there, who we didn't see it, but he has made his pit stop. So him and Rick Cardle are no longer together on the track. And Rick 98's come out almost 8 seconds behind Gabor. So that's what that gap currently stands at.
Yeah, that is really unusual for Lorenzo. He's given up a lot of time, and that could rule him out of that big battle he was in for so long. We see from the back of Lucas, he has reject to deal with here. The Born to Race driver in the blue and black. He's making no decision there. He's just going to follow Lucas up to the start finish straight. Very evenly matched there of the last corner. But yeah, Lucas will hang on in there. And now back to our original action. Our leader for the moment, Cardle, is now in dire need to get through. Gui is the first driver under blue flag rulings, and they're not noticing, guys. This could be concerning.
Nah, they'll be fine. They're experienced drivers, these, I say. Let's see what happens. Gui still looks committed to the inside. We've got... Who's that on the right-hand side? That is Bezos as well. Bezos is an unknown quantity, guys. I've not seen him in a race. Look at that. It slings through. Gui is going to block our race leader here. Contact with our race leader and Gui. Absolutely no excuse for that whatsoever. This track is definitely wide enough for the UF1. Not good to see at all. Martin Capel gets well out of the way, so does Bezos, but Gui should have given more room there.
Yeah, let's compare sector times between Cardle and Pickard. We'll know exactly what the story is here. 35.88 versus 35.66. Might not sound like much in general, but in the UF1 that is a hefty difference, and this will mean that Rick has some thinking to do. He doesn't want a genuine competitor to take more time out of him that we saw earlier on between the light. Yeah, so Pickard is now going to
he doesn't want to get held up again. He doesn't want to get held up like Rick did, so he's going to make use of this advantage. Rick's lost a couple of tenths, and Pickard thinks, well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go into the pit lane. Finds a box, and we'll begin a 10-second hold before he can drive off again. But where is Gabor? Gabor is overtaking him now and will take back P2 in this race. The gap between Gabor and everyone else is absolutely enormous in this race.
Yeah, Gabor's done very good job today, and I noticed after he pitted he had slight decrease of pace, but he's found the pace again, and he's doing very well, at least the same pace as Cardle has been doing for his stint, so it should be easy one for Gabor as soon as Rick Cardle will be pit, but it is up for us to see when Rick will do that decision to pit and how it will affect his race.
We've picked up some absolute chaos with Gui, who now retires. I don't know quite what he was thinking there, but there's basically bumper cars at the back here. Gui is retired after coming into more contact with Martin Capel and Bezos. Goodness me. That has now ended. and Martin Capal and Bezos can resume their fighting duo.
Yes, that group has been halved now. We'll only really know what Gui thinks if he wants to speak about it. But yeah, Bezos has been the most cavalier of drivers today. Not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe in that instance it got a little bit too careless, and Gui decided to back out of the race, and now he's in the server again. But yeah, he's going to be docked a few laps if he's going to rejoin at all. But yeah, it's too late, really.
Yeah, you won't be given laps back in RTFR, so that's Gui's race over. Rick Cardle's still not showing any signs of going through the pit lane. He'll probably want to stay out and make a bit of time up in the clear air that he's got before he comes into the pit lane. Of course, he was in a very, very close battle with Rick 98 when Rick 98 did go into the pit lane. So we'll just have to wait and see what and when Rick Cardle decides to come into the pits and where he will come out with regards to Jonathan Pickard and Rick 98. I suspect he could very well come out in between them if he's lost a lot of time. The gap between him and Rick 98 is about 22 seconds, which should, in theory, just be enough for him to get out in front and take back what would be currently P5 in the race, but P2 overall when Asker and Koivunen pit.
Yeah, that would be a great boon to Rick 98 possibly later in the race. He could actually pass either of the World Class Lions drivers on track if he wanted to. So yeah, that could be interesting. Looking at the start finish straight, Rick Cardle crosses the line 17.33. We'll see if Gabor can respond to that. So if he continues to whittle down the deficit, 1 minute 7.09 for Gabor. So Gabor closing the gap a little bit. So it's almost, it is a guarantee that Rick will concede the lead and then some should he choose to pit. Koivunen does pit. So Koivunen out of the way for Rick 98 and Pickard.
All of the drivers are somewhat spread out. We've still got the usual suspects fighting wheel to wheel, door to door. Capal and Bezos have been together pretty much all race, just having fun. It's what it's all about. You find someone to battle with, and you can have a good time in RTFR, especially in the UF1 at AS1. Martin has to get out of the way. Bezos not using the runoff as Martin might have expected, so a bit of correction there. And they're side by side again down to turn one. Great stuff.
And similar to an Olympic running track, he uses the inside lane to reduce the cornering he has to do. And he just needs a little bit more out of Bezos to make the move count. But unfortunately, turn two, it's going to be a right turn. So he's going to watch and see what happens. So Bezos is defending very strongly. Maybe turn four could give Capal the opportunity to overtake. Bezos just keeps the pedal to the metal, really. That is so brave. And Capal must be just very concerned that he just can't get this move done.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that if he gets the move done, he's going to be able to stay ahead anyway. They're just having fun, doing moves on each other, getting a bit of experience in the car and the track, and providing us with some entertainment. Again, Bezos going defensive. Doesn't want to give Martin any slipstream. Martin pulling alongside. Equally not giving much room either. So, no, they're having a proper scrap here. This is good fun.
Yeah, definitely good fun. We'll see if the opposite tactic works. That's
he's going for the switchback.
Cocking the back wheel.
Oh, that was brilliant. He lined him up perfectly. Has he got the overspeed into turn two? Oh, just about. Bezos goes a bit deep. Martin gives him the space. A very generous amount of space, but does take back the lead, just. Not for long, though. Bezos has the smallest amount of front bumper in the lead, and he thinks that's enough for me to send it. Oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah, very enjoyable. But Martin should have the... yeah, he has the gap now, but watch out for turn 7. Bezos wants to have a look. Yeah, he's going
he
for
does.
it.
He goes for the send. Martin has to give him the room, and that's going to compromise his exit again. And well, we're back to square one. Rick Cardle there in the background is getting closer, and probably sorry, not Rick Cardle. That was Gabor in the background, about to lap these guys. Must be enjoying that.
Yeah, almost identical lap times between the two Sidus drivers. That's not what Rick needs. He does need to continue to pull out a gap, but Gabor has pretty much had his number since he took to the pit lane. Bezos back ahead. He must be so overjoyed to be driving the F1. It's really showing anything he wants to do, the car will respond in kind. So yeah, he must be really enjoying it.
Gabor must be really frustrated just behind the guys fighting all over. He just needs to wait and see if the guys realize that they're gonna have the blue flags, and if they're gonna leave the space, as there's slight contact between them. And we come to the last corner again, and Gabor has a very good speed out of the last corner, and he should be through this fight with no problem.
Wow, he caught up to them so quickly. So that was his raw pace and the fact that those two were fighting. And look at that. Just like that, he's through. That is amazing. Let's see if... oh, no, Bezos is going to go for a move. Oh, no. So they're still fighting together, but Bezos really shouldn't have been going for a move on the race lead there, because he's going to start to hold him up. But what does he do? He's still in a fight with Martin Capal. He doesn't want to give up time on Martin either. And yeah, Martin takes full advantage of it and is back alongside of Bezos. I mean, Gabor is 13 seconds, 14 seconds in the lead of Rick 98. He's got about 6 or 7 seconds on Rick Cardle. He doesn't know that necessarily. We do here with the live timing. So he could afford a little bit of time for our enjoyment there. But still, Bezos had a tricky decision, and maybe not the best one to go for a move on the race leader when he did. But there we go. Back together, Martin Capal and Bezos.
They're going to be side to side again, probably, for the first corner. It's going to be so close again, and Capal is going to pull it inside. And how's the braking going to be? Bezos going a bit deep here, allowing a couple to go for inside line, and Martin can actually hold it pretty well here. But then again, the turn 2 is in the opposite direction, and Bezos can take the place back. But Martin has still a lot to say. He's got much more speed out turn 3, and they're closing turn 4, and they're so side to side here, just both holding out, and Martin Capal is just going ahead, but Bezos is still having a go for the corkscrew here. No, he's yielded back, which might be pretty good at this moment.
I don't think Martin betted he would have this much airtime in this race. He only decided to join very, very late. But he's had a fair amount of screen time. We're definitely enjoying it. It is worth mentioning that Rick 98 and Jonathan Pickett are getting close together, and this could play into the hands of Twin Cap, who is only just behind these guys as well. So it's a very, very close race at the moment for third place in the race. Jonathan Pickett is only about 1.5 seconds behind Rick 98, and Twin Cam is only another just under 2 seconds behind him. So we have 3 cars who could potentially end up on the third step of the podium now that Asker and Pekka Koivunen have made their pit stops. They're back down to P7 and P8 respectively. Meanwhile, Rick Cardle is making no indications as to whether he's going to go into the pit lane now or on the final lap. We just don't know. But he's leaving it pretty late, and he is opening up the gap slowly on Gabor. The gap has gone up by 1 second over the last couple of laps. So it's still got quite a lot of work to do. Probably needs to gain another 5 seconds at least if he wants to be in contention with the win, which is a lot to ask in just 10 laps.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Pete. But Gabor is now hitting 1 minute 7 zeros, and even the 1 minute 6.96, which gave him another fastest lap. So yeah, I think Gabor can claw back into the 13-second deficit. Oh, Cardle gets a little bit too much grass out of turn 4. I was just watching Rick's camera there, and Cardle in the lead. Could that be a signal that he should pit, because he's going to lose another 0.2 or so out of that? But yeah, he feels he can keep going and going for as long as possible. I suppose his thinking is he wants to make sure he's ahead of Rick 98 and Pickard when he gets his pit stop done. So we'll see what his thinking is as he logs in another time, a 1 minute 7.7. That's going to be gobbled up by Gabor if he's well and truly on his best pace, and he is. So that's 0.6 out of the lead. So carry on here with Game. He's going to take a shortcut.
Yeah, he went wide coming out of turn 4, and instead of staying on the racing line and holding up the cars behind, elected to go off again deliberately through the gravel trap at the corkscrew, which, it's quite courteous. He didn't have to. It is the responsibility of the cars behind to go around him, but he didn't want to disrupt their races and takes an off track instead. As we have another side-by-side battle between a different set of cars, it is Reject versus Lucas. Lucas on the inside in the green and black road appraiser livery. Has the inside line. This is the battle for P10 then.
Yeah, Lucas and Reject, they have been a natural pair that has been going on each other for the whole race. They have been so close to all the 59 laps so far. And yeah, they're still going at each other, as Reject is desperately trying to find a place to overtake, but has still stayed behind Lucas right now.
Yeah, but if they're not careful, 136 will have a go at them as well. Let's see as we head to the corkscrew. If Reject makes a move and it goes wrong, 136 will have a great chance here at getting both of them potentially down into turn 1. It depends how eager Reject is to make a move. Like you said, they have been fighting for pretty much the whole race though. And I see on a number of occasions Reject just hasn't gone for moves. Maybe he's being too patient. Maybe 136 needs to make the first move here.
Yeah, he's closing very close to this fight. And we'll see if we can get a move here on this lap already. Not for the first corner though. There's Nex with blue flags, just giving some space for the cars going by.
Yeah,
And
very
he's well away.
courteously indicating.
Yeah, but now he's got from now he's able to race again, because Oil Burner is right behind him on track, so that'll be a battle for position. So yeah, Nex made the necessary move for blue flags, but not so much that Oil Burner was given a free pass. So yeah, Nex should be now able to worry about his own race and follow some quicker drivers to see if he can mimic them. So yeah, Reject. He's got a decision to make. He's obviously got to attack Lucas, but obviously not so carelessly that his teammate could be involved in a frack or anything like that, especially with Nossel and Rony. They're too far back to have a say in this battle. So yeah, it is up to Reject to try and influence this battle for 10th place.
Well, it's been going on for 2 laps now. We've been following it, and well, they haven't really made any moves or any reduction in the size of the gaps between these cars. So maybe they are just running around on even pace. Reject has closed up again to the back of Lucas, but no sign of any moves going on. So maybe they've just, filtered out into a rhythm here. We'll have to wait and see. I did notice in the background that, as you said, Nex and Oil Burner were getting quite close together. Nex has Bezos ahead of him. That is also for position, I believe, now.
But something happened to Bezos. I didn't
I
notice
think
what.
so. I think I don't know. I think has he been into the pit lane and Martin hasn't? We'll have to double check the pit stops. No, they've both made a stop. It's possible that Bezos just made a longer pit stop. Maybe it was a mistake in the pit lane. I don't know. But anyway, the gap between him and Capal is quite large now.
Yeah, I was continuing to watch them for a few goes each and every time there, but yeah, once Capal made his decisive move, Bezos was not able to keep up with him anymore, but he was still close to Capal, but now he's lost positions. I don't understand why.
Well, anyway, he looks like he's opening the gap again over Nex and Oilburner, who are very close together themselves. So let's see what happens here between these two. This is the battle for 21st in the race. We have 23 runners remaining and only 7 laps to go after this one. 5 laps to go after this one. So Oilburner, he looks to be sizing up, trying to make himself as large as possible in Nex's rear mirrors. But no chance of a move there. I mean, Rick Cardle has decided to stay out yet again. 4 laps to go. He has to pit within the next 4 laps and do his pit stop. The gap to Gabor is staying around 14.5 seconds, which is enough if he wants to take the win here on pure pace. So he has to do something rather special, but his opportunities and his options are running out, and Gabor has a quite comfortable 9-second lead over Rick 98 in 3rd place. But Jonathan Pickard is still right there, gents. He's not letting Rick 98 get away. We do have a battle for the podium here for 3rd place.
That we do, Pete. Rick has been very strong all race long. Pickard has probably chipped away at him as this more than 1 hour race carries on. So yeah, the pressure is definitely on Rick 98. Who previously looked like he could split the Sidus guys, now finds himself in a spot of bother. We did see Dodislaw taking his mandatory pit stop, and he could emerge just ahead of these guys. Yeah, he should be well clear, actually. But yeah, the battle for 3rd place, it is within a few lengths of being a real battle, guys. So yeah, look forward to seeing this conclusion.
We do have Martin Capal just ahead of this 3rd place battle, but he's not fighting anyone at the moment, so he should be able to just give the space for the guys with the blue flags. But you never know if that's going to be a little nuisance affecting this 3rd place battle here.
I don't think Martin Capal is going to give these guys any sort of grief. Experienced head on experienced shoulders, he'll be right out of the way to let this battle go on unabated. But yeah, Rick 98's driven a great race. He was ahead of Rick Cardle at one point, remember, and he might still have a chance of being in a fight with him when Rick Cardle pits. There is now a gap of 24 seconds between them, but you never know. Rick Cardle might make an error in his pit stop. I think it's just come down to traffic, to be honest, and how the guys have managed their way through the traffic. Rick 98 pitted quite a long time ago now. Maybe took on some more fuel. Maybe that slowed him down slightly. But as Pickard makes his way through Martin Capal as well there, these two can resume. But very, very evenly matched on pace. Pickard not able to close down that probably 4 or 5 car length gap when they're going at full chat on the straight. It's not long at all. It's not big at all. It's only about about 0.8 of a second between them. So we will see. 2 laps to go after this one. And as Pickard makes an error, that could be crucial. Drops a wheel. and slides almost through the exit of turn 4. Sends up plenty of dirt in the air, and that could be it. That could be crucial. Rick Cardle's in the pit lane. He comes to a full stop, and this is where we're going to see Gabor take back the lead of the race. It's been a while since he's been in the outright lead of the race. But as you can see, his name flips to the top on the timing tower. And as Rick Cardle makes his way to the end of the pit lane, you'll notice that Rick 98 is nowhere near him. And Rick Cardle is going to quite comfortably take back P2. He's already at turn 2. Rick 98 just exiting, or just coming up to turn 2 now. And we'll get a proper update of the time at the split before the corkscrew. But yeah, you can just see that Rick Cardle staying out for 20 or 30 laps more than Rick 98 is all that he needed to do. Just choose a better time to pit, and that can be all you need. Yeah, I don't think Jonathan Pickard is going to have an opportunity here at the end unless Rick 98 makes a mistake.
Yeah, that's all that can really deny Rick 98 at this stage. Last lap coming for Sidus Gabor. Another high quality drive from him today, and he just needs to give another 66 or 67 seconds of quality and he'll be the race winner today. But a last chance saloon here coming for a reject. He wants to dispatch Lucas and make sure he gets as many points for his own championship as possible and get one over Rhoda Preza in the process. He's going to have to rely on this switchback. It's not happening. 1 through 6 miles per hour in the orange, also for Born to Race, is just watching and seeing what happens. So here comes reject, following Lucas along the racing line, and he's going for the outside.
Yeah, finally he's going for some moves. He's left it pretty late. All late, too late, because we have to turn our attention back to Gabor, who sends up a puff of grass. It doesn't matter. He's done everything he needs to do. He is going to be today's victor. Sidus Gabor comes across the line to win the third round of RTFR XL in 2023. We'll keep an eye on this reject Lucas battle as Rick Cardle comes across the line to take P2. It will be Rick 98 in P3 who edges out Jonathan Pickard in the end to take the podium. Twincam, a well-deserved P5. Didn't see much of him at all. Drove a very, very nice race, finishing 14 seconds back in the end. Let's see. It's the final corner for these two, and it doesn't look like Reject has had it his way. He left it way too late to have this fight, and it's going to be Lucas who will take the lead. It will take the 10th place finish after basically what ended up being a 68 lap battle. I mean,
yeah, they never gave each other a chance to relax. They were pretty much battling from the beginning. We see more cars filtering through, so we'll have our full classification to share with you shortly. Gabor will be advised that the podium is behind the pit garages. Yeah, there we go. There's the confirmed race results. At least, yeah, everyone made the mandatory pit stop, so hopefully there'll be no requirements to penalise anybody. But there we go. Sidus Gabor beats out his teammate Rick Cardle by 6 seconds to become the triumphant driver in the UF1. Rick 98, very good drive there, beating out Pickard for the podium. Twincam, one of the pretty much hidden in plain sight drivers, all the way to 5th place without really getting to show his ultimate pace. Donny, Arska, Koivunen, Lucas, and Reject are the top 10. 1 through 6 miles per hour, Rony, Nossel, Dodislaw, and the Hamuli all made it to the 68 lap allotment, but it was a case of Kapal, Yari Katila, Lorenzo, Game, and Bezos all getting lapped.
Yeah, Rony's put the victory lane on top of the pit garages this week, so Gabor's currently on the roof where no one can see him. We just about have a camera view for it. There he is. Very, very, very well driven today for him. On the second page of race results, we have Nex, Oil Burner, Hermani, Gui, Alpha QV, Soini, Rundle 32, and Buzzer. Buzzer registered 42 laps down in the end, unfortunately, but there we go. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Owen, and that is another round of RTFR in the books. The 75th RTFR XL is concluded. And, well, we will be back with more RTFR XL action in a couple of weeks' time. In fact, next month, as we have a look at our schedule here. The 76th RTFR XL will take place and on April 18th, and that will be at 5 o'clock UTC. So, yeah, mark that in your diaries. Owen, this was an interesting combo pick. We were very lucky to get 30 starters for this one, and yeah, it was action packed throughout. As soon as you end up in a battle with another car, you end up with just these battles that never go away, as we saw. Miika, what did you make of this one? This was certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. I'm happy we got some good battles going on, even though there was a lot of people wanting to go and drive in the clean air and maximize their actual result there. But we got some good battles going on through the race, and it was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, certainly fun. Congrats to the Sidus team once again, Gabor and Rick Cardle up there in P1 and 2, and Rick 98, best of the rest in P3, a well-deserved podium. Jonathan Pickard in the end was half a second back, Owen, in the end. That's how much he missed the podium by after all that UF1 action.
Yeah, you might reflect back on that incident early on with the hit box taking his car pretty far wide. So yeah, that was really unfortunate, but he kept on going and almost grabbed the podium to make it a very fine day's work.
Yeah, well said, well said. That concludes our coverage here on Sim Broadcasts of the 75th ever Rony's Tuesday Fun Race Extra Large, third round of the 2023 season at Aston Cadet with the UF1 in Live for Speed. We'll see you again in a month's time for RTFR XL, but coming up on our channel we have the final round of Master Race Cars E-Challenge. Round 5 from Adelaide Street Circuit in LFS is this Sunday from 5 o'clock UTC. Do not miss it. It's going to be awesome. And we'll be back on your channel then. So from all of us here at Sim Broadcasts, we hope you have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you on Sunday for E-Challenge. Have a good one and good night.
Bye.